Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Taran. If you're a returning viewer, nice to see you again. I've got some interesting content for you today because a little while ago I caught some pollock whilst I was out sea fishing, and I want to show you today how I brine that so that you can add it to pies or keep it for a much later date by vacuum storing it and putting it into storage. So the dish I made with this particular pollock on this day is Kedgeree. Now I'm not going to go into how you make Kedgeree, but it's one of those really old sort of Indian / British kind of combinations. It is almost the ultimate fusion food. It dates back to Victorian times, and it's a mixture of traditionally haddock and rice and curry, and it's served with hard-boiled eggs. I'll leave a little picture of the dish that I made. I've also tasted it, and with the pollock it was absolutely delicious. You couldn't tell the difference between haddock, which is usually more expensive in the UK, than pollock. Pollock's quite a cheap fish. People generally don't tend to use it for many dishes, but I find it absolutely brilliant. It's one of those fish that you can get quite cheap. It's about 2/3 the price of most white fish like cod or haddock, but it is equally as good, and I think more people really should use it. So the fish that I caught was sustainable. We caught it by line out wreck fishing off the south coast of the UK. I'll leave a link in the video to us catching that pollock, and here's a picture of me with the pollock, like that. And it was great fun catching these fish. So we used this pollock in this particular instance in a Kedgeree, but you can use it in a fish pie, you can use it in any other dish that you so choose, which would need the addition of some cured smoked fish. And I'm cold smoking today, so we're not cooking. Remember, cold smoking is a process of preservation. Back in the old days, before we had refrigeration, we used to cure things in salt, expose them to smoke, and the products in the smoke would keep that fish fresh, and obviously the salt would inhibit any bacterial growth on the fish as well. So you end up with a nice stable product. These days we have freezers, we have refrigeration, and we have vacuum as well, which we can store stuff on. So as soon as we've cured this fish, we can pop it onto vacuum, stick it in the freezer, and it's good for, normally people say that fish is good for 6 months in the freezer, but if it's on vacuum, I've had fish in the freezer on vacuum in fillet form, already cured and smoked, a year down the line, and it has been like it went in there yesterday. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I just want to show you the technique for brining it. I'm not going to go into the whole details of the Kedgeree recipe, but I will leave that recipe there for you, and I will do a bit of an explanation as well, so you have an idea of how to make it if you want to choose to do it. But it's a fantastic combination of cold smoked fish, hard-boiled eggs, and rice and curry spices as well. And it was traditionally a breakfast dish, can you believe? You can have it for evening meal, but in the old days this was a breakfast dish. And in the UK we have a tradition of eating fish for breakfast. You know, kippers were always a traditional breakfast meal, and Kedgeree was as well. So I hope you enjoy it. Let us know what you think in the comments, and let us know if you give it a go, whether you like it or not. And yeah, let's get on with it. First thing we're going to do is make up our brine. I have 1 litre of cold water going into a non-reactive container. This is going to hold our fish, and I've pre-weighed out 100 grams of ordinary PDV salt, pure dried vacuum salt or table salt. I would just say that if you are watching your salt intake and you think 100 grams for you is a little bit too much, you can halve that if you want to. It'll be fine. All you need to do is extend the curing time from 45 minutes to around about an hour and a quarter to an hour and a half, and you'll be fine. And this is going to be our brine. That, my friends, is ready to receive our fish. We'll just lay this into the brine Look at that, they fit just perfectly. Right, these can now go into the fridge and we'll revisit these in 40 minutes. So the eagle-eyed amongst you would notice that the fish that I am actually brining is skinless and the fish I'm smoking isn't. Now, yes, okay, full disclosure here, the fish that I'm actually smoking I did catch, and I'm obviously smoking it with the skin on, and I obviously cured it with the skin on as well, but I can't find any evidence of me recording that. So I'm having to go back to an early video where I cured some pollock, and this was a skin off pollock, so it is different fish, so don't give me any grief in the comments, guys. That's just my mistake. Yeah, old man, video, technology, hey. Well, after much hunting around, I did actually find the video of me with the fish in the bowl that I'd brined, but I couldn't find the picture of me making the brine and doing all that other stuff, so that's why I used some earlier footage. Anyway, back to the video. So the technique I adopted for the skin on fish that's actually in the smoker now was cured in exactly the same way, so there's no real difference there. The only thing I would say is that if it's got the skin on, you can leave it a little longer, so probably extend that time by about 20 to 25% if the fish has got the skin on, because obviously the salt's only going in from one direction. Okay, let's crack on. Right, well, our fish is now done. Have a look at that. Obviously no change there, but that's been sitting in the salt now for 45 minutes, and I'm going to take it out and dry it, and once it's dried we'll get it on the rack here, and we will make sure that that sits in the fridge and dries for a couple of hours. The drying stage is really important because we want to remove as much moisture from the fish so it can develop a pellicle before we cold smoke it. And we can get that on the rack. And you can see that nice shiny glaze on the surface of the fish. That's the pellicle. Wow, that looks amazing. And the smoke generator is done here. We can get this indoors. Well, I had this pollock smoking for 18 hours in total, so it went overnight, and it looks absolutely amazing. What a beautiful colour. Now, to get this prepared and ready to go into the Kedgeree, what I've done is I've cut it into slices so that it can fit into this glass dish. And in this glass dish, I'm going to pour some boiling water and just leave the fish for about 5 minutes to sit in that boiling water, and the heat from that water will cook that fish to a point where it will be ready to go into the Kedgeree. And all I'm doing here is lifting the fish out and peeling that skin off the back so that I can take the fish off the skin. It comes off really easily, and it allows me just to flake that fish apart. And that fish is so beautiful, it's just cooked on the point. So it's slightly under, and it will go into the Kedgeree in the hot rice, and it will carry on cooking for a little bit more. Well, here's the finished Kedgeree. If you want to garnish it with a bit of parsley or a bit of coriander, that's entirely up to you. That's going to taste wonderful. Now, let's get this on the table so I can taste it. And don't forget, just scan the QR code. That'll take you to a page where the recipe is. Right, let me taste this. Let's taste the fish first. Oh, my goodness me. Do you know, you'd never tell that that wasn't haddock. That's amazing. I can honestly say those curry flavours and all that spice went so beautifully with the smoked fish. I mean, ordinarily you wouldn't think it would. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.